12 exercises to boost self-confidence as an entrepreneur. Self-confidence as an entrepreneur is very important because we don't have anyone telling us how good we are at what we do. So we need that motivation, we need that direction to come from within. And oftentimes we focus on the problems and the things that are going wrong because those are all the things that need action. The stuff that's going well, we can just overlook that or assume it or accept it as normal and overlook it. But oftentimes what we're doing is fighting fires, putting out problems, solving issues and the like. And so it sort of over time creates this general view of a negative shroud about what it is that we're doing because it always seems like there are problems. It always seems like there are challenges that we need to be able to overcome in order to keep things moving forward. So this can create a negative view of ourselves ultimately, and we start to feel bad because why are there so many problems? Like, why aren't we able to just get this going and do it in a way that is successful and running well and easy and all that other stuff? But the reality of it is that's normal. It's just sometimes difficult to see that, especially if we are alone, if we're a solopreneur, if we don't have anybody else that we're connecting with that can sort of tell us, hey, this is normal. This is part of the process, and it isn't anything to feel bad about. And so ultimately, over time especially, or in particularly times of particular problems or a large number of things that might be going wrong at one time, which by the way does happen, we see those problems and that can really impact our self-confidence. We can really start to feel bad about ourselves and question whether or not we have the capabilities to do what it is we're setting out to do. But to be successful, we need to be confident. We need to be comfortable taking risks. So let's talk about some ways to get our confidence up and running strong, because it's vitally important as an entrepreneur that we have tools that we're going to be able to use if and when we get to a point where we're feeling a little low, need a little boost, and need to find a way to be able to do that. So here are some practical exercises, things that we can actually do that are proven to boost self-confidence as an entrepreneur. The first is to set and achieve small goals. We've all been told as, visionaries and entrepreneurs, like the idea is pick this gigantic goal that no one else could even dream of or conceive of. And that's wonderful as a vision that we've got for something down the road, and we might want to put that on the list. But we need to work that back. We need to work that back to something that's more practical, realistic, and shorter term so we can start to develop some confidence through small wins, right? If we set and achieve small goals first, and we can base them on action. So instead of, I want to reach this milestone of sales, or I want to reach this milestone of profit, which might be hard to actually control, what we can control is the actions. What we can control is the activity that we take. So if we know that we need to make X amount of sales calls, or we need to create, X amount of ads, or get this product finished, or whatever it is, those can be goals as well. And so each thing that we get done, each thing that we're able to check off makes us feel a little bit better about ourselves and makes us feel like we are making progress. And that will sort of counterbalance some of that negativity of fighting through the problems that we've got along the way. And so if we start by setting achievable milestones and accomplishing them, what happens is it's just like building our muscles in the gym. We start to get stronger and stronger. Our confidence starts to rise, and we start to get more and more aggressive about the goals that we're willing to set because we know that we have confidence in ourselves to be able to achieve them. If we set too lofty goals right out of the gate, the opposite effect happens. They're so far away, they're so far to reach them that it over time starts to erode our confidence because we're just not there yet. So it's fine to have the big ones. It's great to have that sort of lofty vision, but we need to work that back into something that's more practical, realistic, and short term so we can build our confidence, get going in the right direction, and feel good about who we are and what we're doing. So that'll reinforce our belief in our own abilities and gradually build our confidence over time. And the stronger our confidence is, the less likely it is to be shaken. Second thing that we can do seems a little silly, but it's practice power poses. So we can spend 2 minutes daily standing with our hands on our hips, feet apart, sort of like I think people call it the Superman pose. If you ever saw the old Superman cartoons or the show, he would put his fists on his hips, he'd jut his chest out and stand with his feet apart and his chest up. And there's something amazing about that in the physiology. When we do that, it actually does affect our emotional state. We feel powerful, we feel strong. The other one is the V over the head with the fist, like victory, like I won. Any of those things that we see in sport, any of those things we see when people accomplish great things, if we mimic those postures, if we mimic those poses, what happens is there's actually that physiological change creates an emotional change in us as well. And it's impossible to feel defeated, down, or lack confidence when we're in those power poses, because that's the way that our mind works. And so it's really powerful for an instant shift. If we're feeling low and we just do that, it's amazing the difference that it has on our mood, our confidence, and everything else. And so that's a really cool, subtle, cool, but almost instant way to make a change. Research shows that adopting confident body language can increase the feelings of confidence. So our feelings and our physiology are related and connected in that way, which is kind of really cool because it allows us to affect our emotions by changing our physiology, and the reverse is true. If you ever thought about a time when you were down, what happens? Your shoulders start to slump, your eyes might go down. The same thing in reverse. If we force ourselves to take on a physical posture that's different, it will also back out and change our emotions the opposite way. So that's the really cool element of that. A third thing that we can do is to create a win list. Write down our accomplishments. Oftentimes, as we go through our daily lives and we're very busy, especially as entrepreneurs doing what we're doing, it's easy to just overlook all the things that we do that are good, or all the accomplishments that we have, because most of them, first of all, are probably smaller and harder to remember, but also we take them for granted because we're busy. We have to keep moving. And so if we create a win list and we keep this with us, so we do it as we go, and it's evolving, growing, living thing, then we can actually start with anything, even all the way back to our childhood. It doesn't matter, because it's about who we are as people. So if we have things that make us feel better about who we are, whether it's related to business or not, doesn't matter. We want to write down all the things that we've done in our lives that make us feel good. All those times in our lives where we felt proud to be who we are and for what we were able to accomplish. Put all those things down. When we have all that stuff charted down, then what happens is we can go back to that anytime we need a boost. We have that list. First of all, it's going to be re-ingrained in our memory because we're writing it down. But in addition to that, it gives us a running tally. So when we're feeling negative about stuff, we can go back over to our list, take a look at this. Wow, look at all that I've done. But the critical part of this is to make sure that we keep it going. So that way it's not just a bunch of stuff from our childhood or our youth, it's also stuff from recent times. Any win that we have in our business should be celebrated. It should be acknowledged, and it should be jotted down. So that way we have a record of that. We can go back and say, look, okay, I've got 4 problems that I've got to manage today, and I'm feeling bad about that. But when I look at this, just look at what we did last week. Last week I accomplished these 6 different things that I didn't know. I thought that were going to take me to the end of the month. So that's a really powerful way to do it as well. And these accomplishments can be big, they can be small, doesn't matter. But we want it to be visible. We want it to be something we can access whenever we need it. So we can refer to that list whenever we need that confidence boost to get us back up and running and going in the right direction. The fourth thing that we can do is to develop an I am list. So this is different from accomplishments because obviously we've all done things and we've taken actions and accomplished things and stuff like that. But we have inherent value in ourselves just as human beings for who we are. Not anything we've done, not anything we've accomplished, not anything external, but just for being who we are. Each person is an individual with an individual journey, and that journey has value. That life has value. And so if we write down qualities that we possess, things that, maybe people have told us throughout our lives, things that we know we're good at. I'm a really good friend. I'm a really good this. I'm a really good that. We know in our hearts where we feel we're strong, where we feel we're good, where we feel our values lie in terms of things that we're good at. Just the same way we know with our friends and our family and everybody else that we run into, right? We've all met someone who we've been impressed by for one reason or another. Well, we can feel that same way about ourselves. There's no reason we shouldn't. So we can think about all the qualities that we've got and anything that we think is something worth celebrating and that makes us unique. We want to jot that stuff down. Sometimes these things can be things that make us stand out, that make us totally unique. Sometimes they can be things that we're just really good at. But if there are qualities about us that make us special and unique, we want to jot all those things down too. Because again, just reinforcing that and thinking about how positive we are. In general, our normal, natural mental state, a lot of times we absorb negative stuff and we repel positive. So the more positive stuff, the more positive vibes, the more positive thoughts that we can get in the habit of engaging in, the better we're going to feel about ourselves, the more confident we're going to be. And so it's a habit like anything else. And we want to develop that over time. So we start to shift the internal narrative in our mind from being negative and, chastising ourselves over the things we did wrong and the things we're not good at. We want to start focusing on all the good things and the things that make us feel good and empowered, because that is going to put us in the right mental state and give us the fuel we need to be successful in our businesses as well. The fifth thing that we can do is visualize success. We're coming around on the Olympics here, and one of the things that Olympian athletes and gold medalists have done for decades is visualize success, standing on the podium with the gold medal being draped around your neck, hitting that routine, winning that race, whatever it is. So whatever it is that we're doing in business or in life that we want to accomplish, we can close our eyes, we can think about it mentally, but also literally visualize it to the highest level of detail possible. Smell what we would smell, see what we would see, think what we would, get in that exact mind frame so we have an emotional actual reaction to it. If we just think about it intellectually, that's better than not doing it. But if we can actually visualize it and imagine looking around in the scene at the time that we've done the accomplishment or reached that level of success, that is going to make it more real. That's going to teach our body and our mind, hey, this is the norm for me. This is where I'm headed. And it's going to naturally pull us in that direction. So if we can think about those goals, if we can think about what it is that we've done and picture it in great detail. And this also is a skill. The very first couple of times we do this, it's hard. Our mind wants to keep wandering and we can't envision it as clearly or in such specific detail. It's sort of more general or vague. The more we think about it, it's like adjusting a lens to bring it into focus. What happens is we get better and better and more clear about exactly what it is that we're doing and exactly what we're going to feel in that moment. And we get better and better at it to the point that we actually can feel like we're in that situation. It's a very, very powerful technique. And people have done it in sports and competition for decades. World-class athletes have done this. So it's super important, even as business owners. Why wouldn't we do the same thing? As entrepreneurs, why wouldn't we do the same thing? The things that we're setting out to accomplish are equally lofty and equally impressive. So we might as well go out there and set ourselves up for success by visualizing it in advance. Picture ourselves achieving our goals and the path to get there. That mental exercise in and of itself can strengthen our self-confidence and our motivation to keep rolling. The sixth thing we can do is engage in positive self-talk. So we're constantly in our own mind. We have conversations with ourselves all the time. We're asking and answering questions whether we realize it or not. That's what thinking is. So if we create a bunch of affirmations that tell us verbally how good we are, we've done a lot of things so far, talked a lot about things that are mental or in our mind. These are actual sentences or verbal things that we would say to ourselves. And we could do it in our mind and we could do it quietly, but it's even more powerful if we say it out loud, because what happens is Now we're saying it, we're hearing it, and that whole loop and cycle repeats itself. And the more we hear those words over and over again about how good we are at something, how effective we were with this, how great we are at that, that also starts to build up that as a reality in our minds. And the more we feel that, the more confident we become and the more successful we're able to be, because we're going to take more risks, we're going to do the things we need to do and take the actions necessary to reach our goals. So we want to use affirmations and positive self-talk to reinforce our abilities and replace that self-doubt with a resilient self-belief. In the vacuum of our mind, if we aren't consciously filling it with positive things, what happens is the negativity can creep in. And that is not what we want. We want to have conscious control of our thoughts, so we're in a position to go where we want to go and not be taken where our mind wants to take us. The seventh thing that we can do is to take calculated risks. Every time we push ourselves out of our comfort zone, it's always uncomfortable, it's always difficult, we're always worried or nervous about it, but every single time that we do it and it works out, then we start to feel really good and more confident. It builds up our confidence and our ability to want to take additional risks and bigger risks. So if we take calculated risks, that's the key word there. We don't want to just be ridiculous and reckless, because that can actually have the opposite effect. But if we assess something and we feel like it's a calculated risk that makes sense, whether it's a personal thing, a business thing, whatever, every time we do that and we succeed, it helps build confidence through the experience of doing it. We build up that muscle memory in our mind that says, hey, if we take risks, look what happens. We could achieve great things. We could do things we never thought we were capable of. And that is really powerful in and of itself. The eighth thing that we can do is to seek support from others. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to other people for support. It's part of the human condition. We live in a society, we live in communities, we live in a world that's interdependent, now more so than ever. And so if we seek support from others, especially in this day and age where, post-COVID, lots of people work remotely, we're often in our own sort of silo or in a solitary situation where we don't interact with people as much anymore, certainly not in person. If we join entrepreneur groups or communities that are supportive, so we can surround ourselves with supportive people who understand the journey. Our friends and family love us, but they're not entrepreneurs, and so they don't know the actual challenges that we go through. When we do that with other people that are in the same journey, we can get things where we feel understood, and we can also share experiences where we realize we're not alone. Other people go through the same problems, the same challenges that we do. So that's a really powerful thing that we can do also in order to feel connected, in order to feel good. The ninth thing that we can do is to practice self-compassion. Just be nice to ourselves, especially when we're facing setbacks. We're very, very good oftentimes at being hard on ourselves and expecting so much from ourselves. There's nothing wrong with expecting a lot, but it's also important to be compassionate. Oftentimes we wouldn't treat somebody else the way we would treat ourselves in terms of the way that we, talk to ourselves about things we've done that didn't work out or things we're upset about with ourselves or whatever. We need to treat failures as learning opportunities rather than insurmountable obstacles, because at the end of the day, that's really what they are. The only failure is to not learn from anything that we do and to give up. If we have something that we try and it doesn't work out, we're gaining valuable experience. We just need to make sure that we incorporate that into all the things we're doing in the future so we don't make the same mistakes and so we get smarter and better at what we do. The 10th thing that we can do is prepare thoroughly. Nothing boosts confidence more than knowing we're well prepared. Part of the lack of confidence comes from the fact that we're journeying into the unknown and we don't feel prepared for what we're about to do. When we know what we're about to do, we feel a lot better, we have a lot more confidence, so we can practice and simulate challenging situations in advance, and that way we're going to have more confidence in the real situation. The 11th thing is to focus on continuous learning. Anytime that we're in a growth mindset and a growth mode where we're expanding our knowledge and skills, we're going to feel better and better about our ability to handle anything, because it equips us to handle challenges and reinforces our ability to grow and adapt which are vital in today's day and age in business in particular. And the 12th thing that we can do is to reframe failure. Instead of viewing failure negatively, like, oh, that didn't work out, and, I guess I didn't know what I was doing, or I failed at that, we can see it as an opportunity for growth and learning. We can figure out what we can learn from that experience, incorporate that into what we're doing, and get better and better at it. So if we consistently practice these exercises, we can develop a more confident mindset, and that will enable us to tackle more challenges, pursue more opportunities, and achieve our goals more effectively. So the takeaway here is that entrepreneurs set out to do hard things. It's just part of it. To make them happen and achieve our goals, we need self-confidence because we are the ones in charge. We're oftentimes our harshest critic. It's okay to expect a lot from ourselves, but it's important also to balance that with self-praise and recognition of our accomplishments and our inherent value. We deserve to not only achieve our goals that we work so hard for, but also to feel good about ourselves along the way too.